I'm Eugene Cho. I'm a third year undergrad in visual communication design.
Yeah, so in this presentation, we're just gonna go over the concept that we're proposing, the content that we're going to include, our prototype, how we're going to present that information to the viewer. Spoiler alert, has something to do with the guy over there. We'll show you where that content's going to be located within the shell house and demonstrate an example of that content.
So our project responds to this question that we came up with while we were doing research and learning histories behind the shell house. And this is like, how might we immerse the viewer in the sensory experience, especially auditory experience of being in and around this shell house, in this place, at different points in time.
And so of course with that we had to answer the question and justify for ourselves why sound. And so early on in the project we realized that sound is an incredible thing that's able to transport people back to moments at which they may remember from their own past memories or foster imagination for past timelines and events that they maybe haven't experienced themselves. And we wanted to use this sense in order to do that for the boathouse and the surrounding landscape, and utilize that in a way to tell the changes in the landscape in the use case of the boathouse itself, as well as the vast ecological changes within the environment around the shell house.
So we thought like a history behind soundscapes could be associated with certain locations within the shell house, and the location of this like soundscape kiosk would really add to the experience of learning the historical context of the soundscapes. And yeah, here you can see like the space we're in right now, and outside the shell house at the waterfront, and also like the pop-up workshop.
Yeah, and so in designing our delivery of the content that we're going to share, our kiosk, our form, we really took inspiration from not only the shape of the boathouse itself, but also everything that's gone on here. Originally being built as a Navy seaplane hangar, very inspired by the shapes of the wings and the pontoons, and then obviously cruise shelf during the use as the rowing crew house, and then also canoes when this was a canoe rental. So we really wanted to bring all of that into this form. And this is an image of what it might look like outside with the content superimposed upon it. Some other things that were really important to us in designing the actual physical form of this kiosk were making it inviting. We want people to notice it, to come up to it. We'll show a kind of site map in a moment here, but these are spread out in the boathouse and outside of the boathouse, and so we wanted to invite users to come up to it, and then also make it kind of an immersive experience, have that sound surround you, and so you can see the two black boxes on the edges here represent the speakers, so that you can kind of be almost within it and enclosed by the sound. Here you can see some more examples of the prototype in location. We will show the site map in a moment. There's a bunch of different locations where it would sit and different soundscapes that are associated with each of those locations.
Yeah, and so within the space itself, we wanted to again highlight the changes within each location and the auditory perception within each location. And so we created 3 different categories for our kiosks, which are exterior landscapes, interior space, as well as the visitor experience within the boathouse. And so in doing so, we were able to group each of these kiosks within specific locations and create immersive sounds within each of those locations that show different periods of time and showing the different sounds that were existing within those different periods of time. So for example, in exterior landscape, we have a kiosk that demonstrates sounds of the landscape prior to University of Washington. So highlighting birds that maybe were here and that are no longer within the area, or other natural sounds before we had population density within this area. And then we also have an event within that same location describing the construction of the Montlake Cut. And so utilizing sounds of construction and highlighting the timeline of the construction of the Montlake Cut. And then thereafter we have rowing use of the cut itself, which has, of course, as we all know, a ton of different immersive sounds and experiences that we wanted to highlight.
And here is a picture of showing like how the kiosk would be placed around the space we're in right now.
And you can see here some of the events that we chose to highlight. I hope, is this text big enough? Can you guys see it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, well, so as Coker was saying, we wanted to really highlight inflection points or change points in the soundscapes. And so, for example, our first immersive soundscape is the natural sounds of the area before the Montlake Cut was put in or anything else. And then we have one that centers around the Montlake Cut construction, so the dynamite that was used to excavate and all the ways that the sound changed. And then we have rowing use, that's the example that we'll be showing you momentarily. And then the final kiosk doesn't have a immersive soundscape and invites the user to take in the sounds that are occurring around them and experience the present day soundscape.
So we'll be doing some demonstrations here. So we have like a abstract and poetic visualization of for aiding your auditory experience. So to give you more like historical context behind this landscape.
Yeah, and then on top of each of the videos, in this case it's the rowing use of the Montlake Cut is the demonstration, the audio that goes over it. Also in a lot of cases within our kiosks, and with this one specifically, goes through a timeline aligned visual or auditory perception of events within chronological order. And so we have different sounds that will shift up in volume and then back down, and things will shift into view, or rather into your sense of sound, and along with the different visuals that shift, as well as textual information that will prompt understanding of the historical context. And here is our video. Thank you very much. So, are we doing questions here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, any comments, questions? Yeah, absolutely.
The idea of having some of them permanently located outside, so people walk past the facility, maybe it would be on the same station or whatever.
Yeah.
You mentioned maybe with one of them just encourages people. I wasn't sure if you meant encourages people to hear the sounds today. As you're talking about sound, I kept hearing sound. Is that the idea that I just didn't catch that last bit? That the final one would just almost be like a listening station, or is it somewhere where you would actually record things that you were hearing live? That was just the last choice I had heard from you guys.
Well, that's a cool idea. I might change my answer. But what I was saying was that so we have 8 different kiosks in our proposal, 7 different prepared soundscapes or inflection points in sound, and then the last one would be empty in terms of visuals and sounds, and just carry instructions to be silent and like listen to the sounds around you, which could be very different. Like if you have an event happening here, you have a lot of chatter and talking and be hearing that. If it's quiet, you can hear the birds and the water. So yeah, you understood it right.
What do you feel like you learn in building a full-scale prototype? Like it's kind of it's a pretty big endeavor, and so I know there must have been a lot learned in that process. How did it inform your process?
I learned
Wait,
to.
can you repeat the question?
Yes. The question was what was learned in developing a kind of full-scale, full-size prototype. A lot. Don't put your we went on high. That was one thing. But in all seriousness, I think the biggest lessons were that it's not going to go as planned, and you're going to have to figure it out as you go along, and that necessitates a lot of checking in, like with your group members, and replanning and reiterating. When we originally brought this to the boathouse to take pictures for our presentation, it was only about 6 feet tall, and we were like, it's just not what the effect we wanted, and so the whole thing came apart and back together again. So I guess that would be the biggest thing, is expecting that iteration.
And I feel that's something you wouldn't be able to learn until you build a whole thing, right? Like really get a sense of like the scale of it.
Yeah, definitely not. And yeah, nothing. When I didn't expect it to be this tall. It's all in flux.
Yeah, and I'll speak to that too. So yeah, Ellen was awesome in creating the entire prototype here. But we were going back and forth, like she said, in just kind of aiding in ideas and what to do here. But the first photo that she sent of this prototype next to her house was crazy. So tall in scale in other locations. But what was crazy was how, when brought into this space, it feels proper in scale. It feels like when you're standing across the room, where the massive hangar here, you see that, and it feels like it's meant to be within the space. And so that scale was super accurate, and it was really nice seeing this back into the shell house. This was my first time seeing it back in the shell house at proper scale, so it was awesome to see as I was walking in the door. Yep.
It's not a question or a comment, but it didn't strike me until now, being here sort of later in the day, that kind of this outside with projection, with the material is thin, but almost act like a lantern where you see those projected images from the side, which, because we're so close to the water here, I think it would be a really lovely effect to hear little snatches of sound and see the animations, like as the light goes down on that side.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome.
Okay, thanks.